just being themselves, going out there and playing Lady Vol softball like they know how, knowing how they play defense, how they hit the ball, how they pitch the ball. And I think that is what's going to take them all the way.
Hey Ashley, thank you so much for making time for us. I know you've been so busy since graduation.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm really glad you had me on.
Of course. Part of you being busy is you're now part of the Chattanooga Steam softball roster. I know that's been a recent announcement. What have the conversations been like? When will you be able to officially join the team?
So I guess I'm officially on the roster. We will move in like the middle of June and then start playing just a few days later. So I got to just chat with all the girls a little bit on just through text. And so just felt so welcome by just the whole team and just the area of Chattanooga. Just glad to be back home, just representing the place that I grew up and just getting to come back home and just play softball in my home state.
And it's only been a short year since you led the Lady Vols to a Women's College World Series appearance. They're now getting ready for the SEC tournament. But the week prior, they won the regular season conference title in back-to-back years. You were a part of last year's run, but can you just describe like how truly impressive an accomplishment like that is?
This league is so hard. SEC is just, it's a dogfight every single week. There's no like guaranteed who's going to win. Like it's just anybody has a chance to win or lose that day. Like it's just such hard competition, and especially being in the league so long. Some of these players have been in there for 4 or 5 years. I mean, they just know you like the back of your hand. Sometimes it's better than you know yourself, it feels like sometimes. So just going in there and just being able to compete, especially with this amazing group of leaders that they have on the Lady Vol roster right now. And just that, I think that leadership and just the culture, even off of the field, just really speaks for itself. And it's just very visible on the field with how they play. And I think that is probably bode to the most of their success on the field as the work that they've done off the field, both just skill wise, but also just team building, leadership building, just culture building. And I think it really has translated on the field and just really set them apart.
What's also visible on the field is Karen Weekly celebrating your all's wins. And back-to-back years, she's getting the Gatorade shower, she's hitting the gritty, and you just see a few more smiles on the field. Kind of how cool was that, really last year to see her evolve in that way and like really celebrate and enjoy your all's wins and other accomplishments?
I mean, it's just been so cool, just the growth. She's very, very intelligent, just one of the most intelligent people I've ever met, especially with the game of softball. And just to see that side come out of her, especially last year, and just almost kind of like take off her shell, come out of her shell a little bit in that sense. It's just been really cool to see. And just I think we all grew a lot over the past 5 years, especially just her and I together. And I think that's something that we both cherish the most, even especially out of last year, is just we kind of talk about how we helped each other grow, or just how we both grew so much, and just that sense, because we're pretty similar in the way that we think and the way that we kind of operate too. So it's just been really cool to see that. It's just funny seeing her hit the gritty on TV, and just love her to death, and just so thankful that I was able to just play under her for the 5 years and just learned so much, but also just kind of seeing her vulnerability and just willingness to grow and just change this Lady Vol program and just continue to just make it better and better. And I think you can definitely see that just with the relationships with the girls on the field and off the field, but also the way that she celebrates just even the small wins and the little wins, and just how it has translated into our performance on the field.
And also last year, you were a part of an elite trio in the circle. You have Peyton Gatchall, Carlin Pickens. When we look at this year, or even last year, I mean, for Peyton Gatchall, I think she leads the conference in a number of stats. You look at the strikeouts to walk ratio. What makes her such a hard pitcher to get a hit on?
I think, in my personal opinion, it's just her demeanor and the way that she just is on the mound. Like she is just out there to she's just a dog. Like she's just out there to compete. And I think that just has more effect than anything on the batter. Yes, her stuff is really good, but I think that is what truly sets her apart. And just you can tell when she's on the mound, she's like, I'm out here to beat you. And I think that is just what really sets her apart. I mean, her walkout song speaks for itself. I think she just goes into another dimension when it plays. Like you can literally, it would crack me up. Like just seeing her on the field. And when that song came on, it was just like it's over for you, basically. So
Yes.
just that's what I love about her. She's just out there. She's just a dog. She just loves to compete. And I think that's what truly just sets her apart from, yes, she has amazing stuff and her stuff is really, really good and she has great control and everything. But I think that is one thing that just really sets her apart and just makes her so dominant is just the way that she just owns that circle and the way she owns that field and the way she competes and celebrates and just sets that tone out there. I think that that's just what we all love about her. And that's what really just makes her who she is.
Yeah, and one thing that speaks for Carlin Pickens is her fastball. It reaches speeds of like 75, 77 miles per hour. You don't see that at all in college softball. So when you saw it for the first time last year, what was your initial reaction to seeing that type of speed in person?
Well, I mean, you just don't, growing up, people are like, I throw 70. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you do not throw 70. Like, but like just seeing that for real in person, like, yes, she actually throws 70 above. Like, just when she had that first bullpen, I was there. Like, I had been told that she threw 70, like, for real. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I was like, that's pretty fast. Yeah. I think you're right. She does throw 70 plus. Yeah. So it was just, yeah, she's awesome though. I'm just so proud of the way that she's grown over the past year and just both her and Peyton, how they have come into their own and just like really just grown and just really blossomed, I think, and like their confidence and everything, especially Carlin, just really grown a lot from last year. And she's just it's not even just the speed that makes her so dominant, it's she can control it. She puts it where she wants to. She knows how to like to work around batters. Karen's an excellent pitch caller too. And so I think that really just benefits her in the sense that Karen knows where to call it and Carlin knows where to put it. And with that 70 plus speed, yeah, that's really tough. And especially with that off speed changeup she has, man, that is just crazy. Her changeup is like the speed of some people's fastballs. Like, isn't that nuts? But like, it's just,
Not
yeah, I
fair.
definitely wouldn't want to be in the box. I stood in there one time. I stood in there one time to like I was helping her with a pitch and I stood in there and it was actually one of her like her rise ball that's kind of like in the middle of the speeds. And I was like, yeah, I'm glad I'm not hit her. Yeah. I'm good from the dugout watching her just keeping the chart over there. And so
Yeah, you're like, I'd much rather admire.
yeah, I'll just admire it from a distance. Yeah, that's great for me. But yeah, so I'm just really proud of both of them. And I think that they both look really confident out there in the way that they just take the mound and the way that they lead in the circle. And that's just something that's so important as a pitcher is just to have that confidence, but also to just go out there and just be yourself and just knowing how to execute those pitches and just doing it with confidence and that leadership out there in the circle.
And obviously, that dominance and kind of dynamic type of talent can be seen on offense and defense for this team. And that's partly why the team is another number one seed heading into the SEC conference tournament. But what is the challenge maybe of getting that double bye and you're getting ready to face a team that, in all intents and purposes, has built tons of momentum through those first two games?
Right. So it is kind of tough. It is a blessing to have that bye because you don't have to, tie yourself or whatever. But it is definitely difficult to sit there and like you're watching the games and like you come in a day later or something like that. Like, so definitely having that more of a, that gap in between games, especially that's several days because sometimes you have a midweek that you play in the middle, like during the regular season, but you don't have that during this time. And even coming off the high of like senior weekend and just coming off that SEC title of the regular season, that's definitely a tough situation to be in. And if you do not prepare yourself going into that, into that circumstance, then you will definitely be slapped in the face. So I think that I have no doubt in my mind that they have approached that and addressed that and just they don't leave it as the elephant in the room that like, man, I hope this doesn't happen. I know for a fact that they have addressed that and just prepared for that and just really going in there and just playing their best and just being their best selves and just playing that game like they played yesterday or like they're in the bottom of the SEC, just going in there and just playing Lady Vols softball.
How do you manufacture maybe that energy where you want to be like, oh, we're at the bottom of the SEC or we have our own energy? How do you manufacture that to get you ready for your first game?
I think it definitely is a thing that's practiced throughout the year. I don't think it's something that you magically get on the day of the game. So definitely building your own momentum, building your own energy, just really coming together as a team and not super focused on all the external factors, such as like the setting that you're in, the team you're playing, the seed that you are. I think just building that just camaraderie and just confidence and energy and momentum within yourself, and building that from the second you step off that bus, like you were there to win, and you were there to compete, and you were there to be your best self, and not concerned about who's on the other side. And I think that is just something that the Lady Vols do super, super well, and Karen really emphasizes. And I think it makes a huge difference.
Heading into the tournament, the Lady Vols were either going to prepare for Alabama or they were going to prepare for LSU. Those two teams met earlier this morning. It was LSU who got the win over Alabama, so now the Lady Vols are preparing for the Tigers once again. The main thing I think that jumps off the page for that team is the amount of left-handed batters. Obviously, Peyton Gatchell had no issues against them in the first meeting, nor did Carlin Pickens for the most part. But what is the challenge of, again, facing a unique team like LSU that has really nothing but left-handed batters?
Right. I think LSU is a very well-rounded team. They have very experienced players on the team. They have a good number of fifth-year seniors who have a lot of experience in this league. They have a really dynamic pitching staff, a really deep and dynamic pitching staff. That is, you get some different looks and just kind of different experience levels as well. So I think that is something that LSU does well. They've always done well, just being really well-rounded. Just having a lot of experience, and like you said, a lot of that left-handed batter approach is definitely just kind of a different look, especially because Tennessee is almost completely right-handers. So just kind of having that different look is cool. But I think just, again, like, just LSU is always a good game. It's always good competition. It's always fun playing them. So just going in there, not being concerned about, what happened earlier in the year with that series. I think Tennessee handled them pretty well. So, but just not being comfortable or complacent with that. Just going in there and just, again, playing up to the Lady Vol standard, going in there and just being their most competitive selves is what is so important in the SEC, or just any competition, especially in postseason. It's a new season. So any team can just, get hot at the right time. And if you're not ready, or if you're just kind of chilling, then you may drop a game. That's really important. So just going in there and just competing like this, they're 0-0 now. Like it's a new season. Just going in there and just competing, just being their best selves, and just playing like they know how, and not be concerned about the past results or the who's on the other side of the field, but just going in there and just playing up to Lady Vol softball and just playing like they know how.
Yeah, the Lady Vols, they need 3 wins to repeat as SEC tournament champions. How much, and that's only been done 2 other times in SEC history where you have back-to-back champions. How much does that play into your mind, maybe leading up to the tournament?
I think that can be a way to fuel you, but also you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself, because if you go in there like, we have to do this, no, not many teams have done this, we can do this, we should do this, taking all of those out of the equation and just being like, hey, we're going to go out here and we're just going to play. We're just going to play like we know how. We're not going to put that extra pressure on ourselves, because the game is hard enough. Yeah. Like, you're having to scout these teams that you played a bajillion times. You're having to go out there and just, even if you're not playing well or like going through slumps or whatever, it happens. Just, that's enough pressure as it is. Any additional pressure is just gonna weigh you down. And I know that they have prepared and talked about that, which is really, really important. And I think, like I said, just almost addressing the elephant in the room. Like, people are maybe talking about it like on social media and all that stuff. But again, not putting that external pressure on yourself. Just, yes, it's a fact. It is true that we could repeat. But we just need to go in there and focus on ourselves. Go in there and just focus on competing one game at a time. Not get caught up in 3 games away. We have to win that first one in order to get to that next one. We have to win that first inning to get to the second inning. Just having that approach, just taking it one step at a time, one pitch at a time, not getting too overwhelmed with all the what ifs or this could be, and just going out there and just playing like they know how, taking it one pitch at a time and just doing it together, focusing on themselves, focusing on just being their best self every time they step on that field, no matter who it is.
Would you say that should be the mindset for this team in order for them to repeat, is to really just take it one thing at a time?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that should be the mindset every single game. It's a lot easier said than done. It sounds great, but it's definitely something that takes practice, takes focus, takes just talking about, really, just as a team. And I think that that's something Lady Ball softball does really well, and Karen really does well, is just getting that open communication, those things that are going through your head, just getting it out in the air and just vocalizing it instead of kind of like having it weighing on your shoulders. And just, yes, I think that is something they do incredibly well. And that is something I'm confident that they have already talked about at some point. But just going out there and just focusing on themselves, focusing on what they can do all year long. And I think that is something they do really well, that they've done all year. So it's not going to be anything new for them. And I think that's just, it's not going to be a surprise. It's not going to be something that they talk about for the first time. It's something they've done all year long, which has really, I think, spoken and contributed very, very much to their success on the field.
Well, the run starts on Thursday. I appreciate your time and giving us a little SEC tournament preview.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Go Lady Vols.
Of course.